Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Thanks to the amazing team over at the Icon Store, we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Cybertron Cavalier BS-03 Optimus Prime. Now for those of you looking to add this guy to the collection, he is currently available and in stock right now over at the Icon Store, so for that of course I shall pack a link down in the description box below, as well as along with a discount code of which you can use across the entire site. Now this particular BS-03 Optimus Prime is essentially a slight upscale slash major enhanced version of the Unique Toys Challenger, essentially a KO version of that figure, but I will be honest and say that out of all of the Age of Extinction inspired Optimus Prime figures, this could potentially be the best one yet. Now I'm pretty certain many of you guys will be asking what are the main differences between this BS-03 and of course the official version, so let's get stuck straight into it. The biggest difference has got to be the paint. Honestly, I don't think I've seen this version of Prime painted as well as this particular incarnation. This looks absolutely smashing, especially where that metallic red and blue is concerned. Now of course it will play a vital role in vehicle mode. Here for bot mode is slightly different when in comparison to how he appeared on screen, just as of course there were a few continuity issues in the Bayverse. The vehicle modes always appeared a lot cleaner than the bot modes, but I think they've actually struck a pretty decent balance here. You can see that overall the figure's literally been painted from head to toe. The torso looks fantastic. That face sculpt has actually never looked better. It really does amplify some of the sharper details of the sculpt. You can just see the reflectiveness there to the metallic blue for the shoulder pads. I think the chest unit looks incredible. You can see some of the bronze highlights just picking out some of those sharper details of the sculpt. And even as we spin our attention here to the side of Prime, this too has also been completely painted as well as sculpted, and the back is just incredible. Probably one of the best sculpted backs that I've ever seen for an Optimus Prime. This really does look awesome, and this guy can in fact actually transform. You can see as we flip here once more to the front, the gauntlets look awesome, very accurate to the movie. I love this almost multi-layered effect that we've got going on here. You can see the flame details also look incredible. And then as we just take a look here down to the lower section, the thighs are very thick and robust. We've even got some tubing detailing. And of course here down to the shin region, very Knight-esque in terms of design. And overall just looks so awesome. Another major difference is in fact a completely retooled chest unit, so this is in fact slightly larger when in comparison to the Unique Toys offering, and is indeed a lot more detailed. So you can see here the sculpt work really does look fantastic, and to me it actually makes the proportions look so much more accurate to the movie. Of course this was incredibly rounded in the film, and the original Unique Toys Challenger was of course slightly more flat in design, but I think the sculpt work there looks incredible. We also do in fact actually get these new additional panels here for the side torso, once again just creating a slightly more sleeker design in order to match the appearance of the movie. We now do in fact also see the return of Cybertronian hieroglyphs here for the shins, once again to match the movie design. And even as we flip here to the base of Prime's foot, they have indeed completely filled out this toe region, matching the design of the movie. That is a really nice touch in my opinion. We also do get some filler pieces here for the hips, so they just help to fill out that almost hollow void that we saw on the original version, and we'll touch base more with that when we bring that version out for a comparison. And we now also do in fact actually get fully articulated fingers, which to me is truly the icing on the cake. Now, in regard to the head sculpt, this is the same that came packaged with the Unique Toys Dragoon. Of course, that did come with an upgraded head. However, this time, they have in fact actually implemented LEDs into this, which is just so nicely done. So as we push this button here at the top, you can see that it will indeed illuminate Prime's eyes, this incredibly piercing blue, which just looks so nicely done. So overall, in terms of a design, paint and sculpt work, I truly do think this is by far one of the best looking Transformers Age of Extinction Optimus Prime figures currently out there on the market. Now, in regards to articulation, pretty much exactly the same as the original version, so the head can look up that far, down of course, can tilt side to side. We do in fact actually get ratchet joints here at the shoulders, which can rotate the full 360, hinge joint out to the sides. We also do get a rotation here at the bicep, double joint at the elbow. We do also get a full rotation here at the wrist, albeit very stiff, and as mentioned beforehand, all of the fingers this time round are indeed fully articulated at I believe 3 points, so that too is also a really nice touch. I'm always a huge fan of articulated fingers, and this was something that I was really hoping to see first time round on that original Unique Toys Challenger. Here for the torso, if you do decide to in fact actually leave these additional filler pieces in, it does slightly compromise the rotation left to right, so really you're only going to be able to tilt it ever so slightly, but we can in fact actually crunch this entire section forwards. The hips are on drop down joints, so this allows you to kick them all the way forwards as well as of course all the way back. He can also hinge out to the side, rotate here at the thigh, as well as a 90-degree bend there at the knee. And then finally for the foot, of course, this can pivot side to side. So Now getting down to some of the qualms that I have with this figure. Fresh out of the packaging, sadly for me, the shoulder joint did come cracked. Now luckily, I've been able to save it. I did in fact completely unscrew it, glue it into place, and it's been absolutely fine. But that is something worth mentioning, and considering that it was a factory defect, fresh out of the packaging, that is really, really poor in my opinion. These sections are slightly more pliable. You can see how there is in fact a little bit of give between the ratchet joints. So to me, this actual joint here should have been actually made out of die cast. I think that would have completely fixed the issue. I've also heard some issues of the actual antennas or ears becoming broken out of the package. It's something that I haven't experienced, but once again, I would definitely recommend taking caution when manipulating the head, as of course these are very thin pieces of plastic. But other than that, the figure appears to be built incredibly well. Now, getting down to accessories, this Optimus actually comes with the most we've seen yet. So starting off, firstly, we finally get the staff that we see, of course, in Transformers The Last Knight, and this has actually been sculpted really nicely. Definitely matches the appearance from the movie, and much like the figure, has been completely painted head to toe in this wicked metallic silver. Of course, we've got a few pegs there, of which you can insert into Prime's hands, of which I'll showcase at the beginning of the video in a few photos, but that there looks really nicely done. And of course, considering that it was one of the main MacGuffins in Transformers 5, it is awesome that it has finally seen a release. We also do finally get included Prime's blaster. Now, I believe we see him use this in Age of Extinction and maybe very briefly in Transformers The Last Knight. This appears to be a complete brand new sculpt, and once again, looks fantastic. Amazing detail as well as amazing paintwork. Honestly, a really beautiful piece. This does in fact also actually have LEDs in it, so if we push this button here, it will cause the barrel to illuminate this really piercing blue, which once again, I truly think is the icing on the cake. We also do get a completely brand new modified shield. Now this, in my opinion, looks so much better when in comparison to the official offering that we saw from Unique Toys. You can see the paint and sculpt work across the board looks awesome, but this can in fact actually transform into the almost blaster. So as we flip here to the underside, you can take this barrel here, shift this entire section up just like so. We can then take these pieces here and just hinge them out to the sides and then split the shield just like so, so that it is completely open. And there you can see that is the shield completely transformed, with the barrel of which does in fact actually have this super nice singed effect. And of course we can just snap this here on to the side of Prime's arm. We also do get included the blade that we see him use in Transformers The Last Knight just before he's about to decapitate Bumblebee. Painted very nicely, can be inserted onto either of the hands via this peg and slot. And then finally, one of the main weapons that he used in the movie is of course the Temenos sword, or the Sword of Judgment. This appears to be a direct carryover to the one that we saw from Unique Toys. You can see the paintwork on that looks awesome. Once again, some very nice Cybertronian hieroglyph detailing, and overall definitely resembles what we saw in the film. This can be held in the hand, or you can in fact actually store some of the weapons on the back. So I just take the shield and compress a few of the components, just take these sections here, shift those up, and take the barrel, snap that there into place. We can spin our attention here to the back, snap that in there just like so, and we also do get in fact an actual sword hilt. So we can take this, peg this into the back of the shield, and of course take the sword and just slide that through. And there you've got Optimus with those weapons stored on the back, once again looking really awesome. And the final accessory he comes with is in fact an interchangeable head. So you can see this time around it is indeed the unmasked version, just as detailed, if not even more detailed than the one that already comes pre-installed in the figure. And I just think the paint as well as sculpt looks wicked. Once again, this does in fact also have an LED function, which truly allows you to bring this guy to life. So in all, I think this pretty much comes with everything that I personally would want from the AOE/TLK Optimus Prime design. There's nothing that springs to mind that maybe I would have liked to have seen included. Perhaps those Energon swords that we see him very briefly use when of course he's battling Galvatron in Transformers 4, but other than that, I think he comes with pretty much everything that I would want from this particular incarnation of Optimus. So here for a direct comparison between the BS-03 KO Unique Toys Prime and of course the official offering, surprisingly, there are in fact even more differences than first meet the eye. So the most noticeable difference would of course be the scale. The new KO version is substantially larger than our official Unique Toys offering, and as mentioned beforehand, they have in fact completely retooled the chest unit. This to me is so much more accurate, but there are indeed even more areas of which they've changed. So you can see here for the actual shoulders, the BS-03 is in fact so much more detailed. They have indeed almost concealed the elbow joint that we can clearly see visible on the Unique Toys version, and of course the colorization. It just looks so much better here for the KO release. As we just spin our attention down to the lower section, it does also appear as if though the thighs too are slightly modified, as well as these skirt pieces, and even here for the shins you can just just see how much more detailed they are now on our KO version. And even as we flip here to the underside, as mentioned beforehand, they have in fact actually filled the interior of the toe to match the movie design. As we take a look here towards a side perspective, you can see how they've also added some additional filler pieces here just to make him look slightly more beefy to match the movie. And then as we just take a look here towards the back of Prime, of course, we'll very quickly remove the weapons. You can once again see the substantial difference in just how much detail as well as paint has now been packed into this release. So for those of you wondering which is the best version of Unique Toys Challenger, I've got to give it props to this KO version. I truly do think this is the best release that we've seen yet. Turning quickly to some side-by-side shots, here we've of course got that KO Challenger compared next to the official offering. Unique Toys Perukill, aka Age of Extinction Lockdown. Unique Toys Galvatron. DX9 Lahaya, aka Transformers The Last Night Hot Rod. Takara Movie Masterpiece Bumblebee. Black Apple Movie 2007 Optimus Prime. The official Unique Toys Dragoon, aka Transformers The Last Night Megatron. And finally the Toy World Knights of Orion Transformers 5 Optimus Prime. Now, turning to transformation, of course, considering this guy is essentially just a direct copy of the Unique Toys Challenger, the conversion for the most part is pretty much the same, despite there being actually quite significant changes made to the robot mode, which personally I was really happy about, as of course the transformation for Challenger is probably one of the most simplistic we've seen for the Age of Extinction / TLK design, and it results in such a wicked bot mode, as well as an equally as awesome robot mode. So let's get stuck straight into it. To begin with, of course, first of all, you're going to want to come here to the hands, rotate those, and just take these sections and plop them there along the side. We can then take this piece here and essentially just separate that component, rotate this like this, take this section, extend that outwards, and then this will just snap there into place. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So take the hand, sit it flush along the forearm, and then just split this entire section, rotate, extend this joint out, and then just snap those into place. Now, personally, what I would recommend doing here is, in fact, taking these elbows and snapping them into place, as if you don't do it now, it can be definitely quite a pain to do when we're in the midst of all of the transformation. So, of course, come to this side and just snap that section in. We can then flip our attention here to the front, and something which I may have failed to mention in robot mode is that due to transformation we do in fact actually get a butterfly joint, which is a really nice touch. But then take these chest panels and try your best to just disengage those. Of course, come to this side, snap that section out of place, and then we can take this region here and just essentially flip this just like so for now. That will then allow us to take the head and try your best to disengage this neck brace from this section. So lift this up, pull this here forwards, and then take this here and indeed extend that and just rotate that out like so. We can then essentially split all of this. So just angle that there all out to the side. We can then rotate here to the back of Prime. You're then going to want to take these sections and just flip those down. Of course, just repeat the same process here for this side. Now what I recommend doing is just bring everything like this, extending all of this so that it is completely straightened. Just take the windscreen, fold that here like so. And one thing worth mentioning is that this here should in fact for transformation be completely flat and flush. We can then straighten out the armor here, ratchet this section forwards, snap that there into place, and then rotate here at the bicep and ensure that the actual shoulder pad is indeed also rotated here to the back. Now, unlike the original version, sadly, there isn't any form of tab that does in fact actually lock this into place. That is a critique I have, and it is something that I shall touch base more with when we actually get him transformed. But for now, essentially, just kind of rest everything like this. We can then, of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So extend all of this, ensure that there is snapped into place, bring the windscreen around, and then for this section, collapse that like so. Rotate this around, rotate the shoulder pad, and then rotate here at the bicep. And then just match up these two panels just like so. What we can then do is take these here, fold those in, and then take this entire section here and pull this all the way to the back. take these sections, extend those out to the side, and of course, plop this over. Now, what you'll notice here is that there is indeed some slots on the inside of this that will peg into some tabs here. So essentially, just snap that section there into place. And of course, come to this side and just snap that in. We can then combine the two halves and of course, snap the front grille in, and that essentially is the entire upper cab of Optimus Prime fully transformed. Lowering the camera down, now what you'll want to do is take this torso connection and essentially just break it like so. Now once that's complete, if you do in fact actually have these filler pieces connected for transformation, you will simply have to remove them. It is slightly unfortunate that they couldn't find a way to integrate them into the conversion, but nevertheless, to me they're just a throwaway piece, and I'm in fact actually glad that they just decided to include them in anyway. But coming here down to the lower section of the legs, exact same transformation for the most part as Challenger. The only thing that's really different is that you'll now want to take this panel and essentially just rotate it like this. Of course, come to this side and repeat the same process. So just rotate that like this. We can then come to the inside of Prime's leg, take this section and snap that out like so, which will then allow you to rotate that around. We can then take this panel and snap that in just like so. And personally, I like to begin work here on the foot. So extend this here all the way out. We can then take this section, rotate that around, and then proceed to rotate this all the way around. And you'll see that we've got an almost slight cutout that will seamlessly almost sort of slide over this section. So take the toe, hinge this like so, and just slide that over. And then we can take the foot and just sort of rest it there into place. Repeat the exact same process here for this side. So come here to this section, disengage that, rotate this here around, snap that panel there to the back, extend this section here, rotate this piece, and then just hinge that out of the way. Proceed to rotate this here all the way around. Surprisingly, this one's a little stiffer, and you may have noticed that the headlight does in fact actually have a tendency to pop off. So we'll attach that in just a second, but just slide this here all the way down. And then, of course, just collapse the toe. Now, this is where things can, in fact, actually get slightly confusing, and it was really the same for the original version. So, essentially, you're going to want to ensure that the ratchets here for the knees are fully clicked forward, and then we're basically just going to flip the legs here all the way up, extend just like so, and you can see the cutout here at the back of the leg will, in fact, almost be filled via this skirt piece. So, come to this side, and, of course, you guys guessed it, repeat the exact same process. So just ratchet those two halves together, and now essentially you can in fact actually combine them just to solidify that connection and make things slightly easier during transformation. We can then take these pieces here, pull those forwards just like so, and then for this section you're in fact going to want to lift this piece up, which will then allow you to separate this, rotate this around, take this panel here and fold that section out. And you'll also notice, if we just flip around, that we do in fact actually get a slot underneath here that will peg there into that tab. So just snap that there into place, and essentially you are just going to want to tuck that under there and then snap that section there into place. And then with this, it does actually tab just like so. And that is basically one half of Prime fully transformed, so far looking absolutely fantastic. Come to this side, repeat the exact same process, so fold this out, swing this section around until of course we can snap that piece there into place, tuck the foot under, snap that section in there really securely, and then for some finishing touches, just basically combine these two halves, ensuring that these tabs are snapped in. And then we can just flip here to the rear of Prime, collapse the chest piece in, and you'll notice on the underside of this, we do in fact actually get two slots here and here that will peg into these two tabs. So then just snap that there over the top. And with all that being said, here we have our BS-03 Cybertron Cavalier Optimus Prime fully transformed up into the astonishing Western Star truck mode. Now, as mentioned beforehand, the headlight did pop off during transformation. It's very easy to in fact actually reattach it. After the review, I will maybe just add a dab of glue on that just to prevent it from falling out in the future. But honestly, absolutely incredible, and much like I mentioned in bot mode, it is truly here for vehicle mode, where you can really appreciate the fantastic metallic blue as well as red paint. Literally from the front of the cab to the back of the truck, this guy has been painted so damn nicely. Probably one of the best painted Optimus Prime figures that I've ever seen, at least from a third party offering. You can see that here for the front, the flame details literally are immaculate. There is no paint mishaps on this at all. You can see really nice metallic silver highlights there, just picking out some of the sharper details of the sculpt, and that blue shimmer that we've got going on is just so damn nicely done. It really does remind me of that APC Toys Transformers Prime RC that we took a look at earlier last year. However, unlike that figure, the paint on this guy is indeed a lot more durable. Not completely durable as you would expect. You can see here at the top, I do sadly have some minor scuffs. That's probably down to me just mishandling the figure during transformation, so definitely take your time. But other than that tiny little scratch I've got going on here, literally no scuffs or dings in the paintwork at all. You can see as we take a look here towards the front grille, unlike the Unique Toys version, they have this time round opted to give us just metallic silver paint. I think it looks a lot better. It does in fact actually match the silver that we've got going on here where the headlights are, which I think is really nicely done. As we flip here to this side, you can see that wicked metallic blue strip that goes all the way along the base of the vehicle mode. You can see here for the smokestacks, we do in fact get this really nice almost singed smoke effect here at the top, which I think is a really nice touch. I do actually like how the tubes come here out to the back, would in fact actually match the look of how the Western Star looks in real life, which is really nice. As we take a look towards the back of the vehicle, all of the hubcaps picked out in silver, some Western Star detailing. We still in fact actually get the trailer hitch, and overall the Unique Toys Challenger mold to begin with was fantastic, and I just think that what I believe it's Black Mamba have done here is truly special. He also can roll just as well as the original version, which is awesome to see. But a critique I do have is that, as mentioned during transformation, they have decided to scrap the tabs that would essentially lock the door here into this front hood section. Now, you can see that on my copy, it does create a slight gap. I've tried to compress it as much as I possibly can, and it's just literally not pegging in at all. So, not entirely sure as to why they decided to scrap that tab, as I really think it would have helped to conceal this gap here. But once again, that truly is just a minor critique for what is otherwise a fantastic looking alt mode. Now, bringing in the original Unique Toys Challenger for a comparison, you can once again see here the stark difference in terms of colour. This version was a lot more darker in terms of blue and red, and to be honest, had nowhere near as much paint as we're seeing here for this KO offering. All of the blue on this version was in fact just cast blue, whereas this is completely decked out in paint, which I really do think benefits the overall look of this figure. It just looks so damn nicely done. As we spin our attention here to a side-by-side perspective, despite the actual size difference in bot mode being pretty noticeable, here for vehicle mode it's not as noticeable. There is a slight difference in scale, but literally just having them almost side-by-side like this, you probably wouldn't be able to tell. So it really does just go to show how the mass shifting of this particular version does work in getting that quite large robot compact into a truck mode, of which is basically the same size as the original release. And so some final thoughts here for the Cybertron Cavalier BS-03 Optimus Prime. Overall, I think this guy's fantastic. Out of all of the third-party Age of Extinction / the Last Night Primes that are currently out there and available on the market, I think this is probably the best one we've seen yet. Of course, it does borrow a lot, almost all of the engineering that we saw from the Unique Toys Challenger, but some of the modifications they've made to the robot mode as well as the paint truly do make this, in my opinion, the superior release. I also love the accessories that we get, the inclusion of the Ion Blaster, as well as the new details that we've now got going on with the shield. Once again, do make this the ultimate version. I think the LEDs in the eyes are also the icing on the cake. The figure is in fact actually really well articulated, impeccably painted. The transformation, surprisingly, despite him looking killer in bot and vehicle mode, isn't actually a nightmare, unlike that Toy World Knights Ryan, a figure of which I think is absolutely disastrous. This destroys that Toy World Knights Ryan and really is a breath of fresh air in regards to third-party releases, as the transformation is in fact actually enjoyable to go through. You really don't feel at any point as if though you need to rip your own hair out. It can be done in literally 5 5 minutes, something which you can really only say for the likes of the mass release products by Hasbro and Takara, so it really does just go to show how well Unique Toys engineered this figure. And in all, if you're after an Optimus Prime based on Age of Extinction and The Last Knight that can in fact actually transform and you wish for him to scale with some of your movie masterpiece figures, I think this once again is the best way to go. He's actually really well priced. I believe it retails for roughly $93 US. It may be even in fact slightly cheaper than that, which I think is great value for money. One thing that I would mention looking out for though would be those shoulder joints getting him out of the packaging. As mentioned, it was very easy to fix here on my copy, but I have heard reports of the antennas coming broken fresh out the box and those shoulder joints literally tearing after one ratchet. So definitely inspect your figure after opening him up, but if you do in fact actually get a copy that has no issues at all, I'm going to be straight with you guys and say it, this is one of the best Optimus Primes that I currently own in my entire collection. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below. As mentioned, this is also available and in stock right now over at the Icon store, so for that of course I shall also pack a link down in the description box below for, and as always please feel free to let me know on what you thought of the review. I thank you all so much for watching, and until my next review I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.